Hey everybody, it's Caleb Crewy with Caleb Crewy Reports and Predicts. And so I'm going to do a news roundup video. I haven't done this in a couple weeks, and I just want to do a news roundup to set kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to do some videos I'm thinking about doing this week and just some news out there. Um, so, so some news. So yesterday was the Portuguese election, and the socialists looks like they won, but they may be short of an absolute majority. So I'll do a video on that and detailing what all that means later on the week. Um, the presidential race, I'm also probably going to do some more polling updating, but I'm also going to be doing some of the third quarter fundraising numbers, which for some people, Joe Biden was pretty lackluster. Bernie Sanders raised a ton of money from small dollar donors, which is just insane the amount of money he was able to raise. Pete Buttigieg still had a big haul. Andrew Yang had the biggest improvement, so we'll go over the numbers. I mean, he raised over $10 million, so maybe that's showing that. And I'm kind of under the theory now. I pretty much subscribe to Andrew Yang's still probably not going to win the nomination, but he's going to do a lot better than a lot of people thought he was going to, and the media won't take him seriously uh, because, well, he's Andrew Yang. I mean, he's just some outsider, he's not a serious candidate. But the problem with them saying that he's not a serious candidate is he's polling almost in fifth right now. So he's polling above all these people that they think are serious, and sometimes he's polling above Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg, or right in the mix. So he's fifth or sixth in the polling. So all these people that the media thinks is so serious, he's polling above. So I think we need to work on having a broader conversation about candidates like him. I mean, a lot of people didn't take Donald Trump as serious when he ran, and now he's the president. So I think any candidate that is getting us um, a relatively decent polling number, or is in the top, five or six in polling, you should probably take them seriously. And of course, the media doesn't want to do that. So we're going to be going over that. Bernie Sanders also, this campaign released, he suffered a heart attack, and I saw a poll that since then he's down, he's dropped some points. So it'll be interesting to see in the next few weeks how that goes. Also, we're going to do a recap of the another one for the Canadian election, which is coming up in the middle of this month. But it looks like the Liberals have pulled ahead, and Justin Trudeau will go forward to become Prime Minister, and that Andrew Scheer and the Conservatives are going to come in second. Um, they went with a safe bet with Andrew Scheer, and at first it was like it looked really good, but Justin Trudeau is just a very good campaigner, and so it's really hard to stop him. And he's really shown that, even though through now two huge scandals, the SN Lavier scandal and his brown slash blackface scandal, that even though he can take a hit in the polls, he bounces right back, and that he is he's a very good campaigner, and that really goes to show in that instance. Also, over in the UK, Boris Johnson released his plan for his new Brexit plan, which the big thing was about the Northern Irish backstop. And so there's been some it pretty much allows them to stay with the United Kingdom, but there still doesn't form a border. It's a very interesting proposal but it does have the backing of the DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party, which is the largest party in Northern Ireland, and which they do have a supply and confidence agreement uh, with. They have a supply and confidence agreement, which is that they will support the government on key measures, but they're not in an official coalition with the government. But they are very supportive of Boris Johnson now, because they felt Theresa May kind of backstab them with the Northern Irish backstop, which the DUP is extremely against. Um, they pretty much were very influential in killing her proposal. So we'll see how that goes forward. Also, Nigel Farage said he wants to stand in the next election. He wants a clean Brexit. Brexit is a really tough issue because what you're talking about is, yeah, people did want to leave the European Union, but that was the question. It was, do you want to leave or do you want to remain? It wasn't, how do you want to leave? So that was left up to the politicians to decide of how they wanted to leave. Well, the problem is somebody like Nigel Farage says, okay, we need a no deal Brexit, and a no deal Brexit is the only way that you get a true honoring of the referendum result. But the problem with that is if you looked at a lot of the polling pre the politicalization of Brexit, a majority of people voted to leave, but they didn't have any. They all what they wanted post Brexit was completely different. Some people wanted a no deal Brexit, what they call a clean break. And the problem with that is that's about 35% of the population. But a majority of the people that voted to leave wanted to remain in the customs union and so forth. Well, then that's not a no deal Brexit. And so you have this problem that where some of the people that voted to leave, they want to remain in the customs union, which would allow them free trade with the European Union and the EU and things like that, but they don't want a no deal where they wouldn't get that. They could still negotiate a free trade agreement, but they wouldn't be in the customs union. That would make it easier, and they wouldn't have to worry about tariffs or anything like that. Now they may have to worry about that. Even in a free trade agreement, you can get tariffs on certain products. Um, a lot of people are afraid that there is not going to be is that there's going to be a couple days of disruption, so you're not going to get all the goods you want, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how the parliament votes on this. I mean, I have a strong feeling they will not approve the deal. Um, it's really weird that the SNP and Jeremy Corbyn, Labor, and the Lib Dems have all said, "Well, we we want an election." And but they we don't want to but they don't want to call an election right now, and it's a it's a hung parliament. They can't get anything passed. You would think that, well, you need to have an election to call an election, but they won't even do that now because they want to force Boris Johnson into um, they want to force Boris Johnson into making some type of um, to an extension, which they have passed. Well, the problem with all of this is that if they think by forcing him into an extension it will help them politically. The problem is the Lib Dems do want to revoke Article 50. They want to cancel Brexit. And the SNP has said they pretty much want to cancel it for Scotland as well. Okay, but then half of Labour wants to do that, and the other half wants some type of deal. But high-ranking members, Labour members that in the shadow government, the shadow cabinet, have said, well, if we get a deal, we'll campaign against our own deal. It's just a really crazy situation. So that's kind of a Brexit update. Another thing that is going on in the United States is I'll probably cover later this week is some 2020 Senate matchups. We've gotten some polling out of that, some primary polling. I saw one today that showed Tommy Tuberville in the Alabama Senate race with a double-digit lead over the rest of the field, which includes Roy Moore, which is the only reason that they should. If the Republicans would have nominated anybody else, they would have won the Alabama Senate race. So that'll be very interesting to see how that shakes up. But there's some polling on that. There's some polling. There's a polling on the South Carolina um, race. I think it was Jamie Harris or Jamie Harrison is an African American uh, candidate. He is the former head of the South Carolina Democratic Party, and he outraised Lindsey Graham earlier this year in the first quarter. He looked like he was, the Democrats were really excited about him, that he's a good candidate, and Lindsey Graham's up by about 10 points right now. So that's South Carolina. You'd have to expect that. And so, that's the thing with the Democrats and Republicans too. You get these exciting candidates, but then sometimes you're just in an uphill battle that you cannot win. And now in Arizona, Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, has now outraised Martha McSally. He's the Democrat challenger for three fundraising quarters in a row. So the Democrats definitely have some hopes at picking some seats and possibly winning the Senate. It's going to be very close, but um, some of the seats that they thought that they could win with a good candidate probably isn't there for them, especially in 2020. It's a presidential year, so it's very partisan. If a state is a very red state, it's probably just going to go with the vote for Republicans. If it's a blue state, it's just going to vote with Democrats. It's usually presidential elections get very partisan. Well, thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you guys could like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Keep up with my future content and like me on Facebook at Caleb Curry Reports and Predicts. Thank you guys and have a great day.